Just waiting for the red light. Okay. We are live, sir. Headphones on. All right. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Welcome to Just Curious Media. This is That's a Crime. I'm Jason Connell.
And I'm Sal Rodriguez.
All right, Sal. We are back for another crime.
I want to say fortunately, but also unfortunately.
True. Very true.
I don't think that covering crime is without its consequence.
Yeah.
I mean, we're forced because let me tell you something, Jason. I'm not the kind of guy who likes to look at the news every single day. I'm not, because you know why? You're going to see a lot of horrific stuff. Yeah. You're going to see a lot of stuff that will upset you. And since we started That's a Crime, I'm having to look at a lot of upsetting stuff. And this is no exception. That's for sure.
Is this your way of leaving the show? Letting me know.
I am stepping down as co-host. No, I'll be back. Okay. But it is this is a tragedy here.
Yes, it is. And today we are breaking down the true crime story of Henry Ruggs III fatal car crash in 2021.
Yeah, very new.
This is very recent, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, just last month, November of 2021. So let's jump in, Sal. Henry James Ruggs III was born January 24th, 1999, is an American football wide receiver who played college football at Alabama. The 6-foot, 190-pound Ruggs was the fastest player at the 2021 NFL Combine and was selected by the Las Vegas Raiders. I almost said Los Angeles or Oakland. Las Vegas Raiders with the 12th pick in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft. Now, on November 2nd, 2021, very recent, Ruggs was charged with driving under the influence after he was involved in a crash that killed 23-year-old Tina Tintor and her dog, Max. Later that day, the Raiders released Ruggs. Tragic indeed, Sal.
Yeah. Double bad, double tragedy, because you have a death and then you have the death of a career, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's truly a cautionary tale. I mean, this was not a premeditated incident. It's just a poor decision, and we're going to get into it and kind of also do some more backstory of Ruggs himself. But, you know, the career that you always want that so many people just can never get. It's not that easy. Being an NFL athlete, an elite athlete at that, just being picked first round in the NFL draft. I mean, it is what most athletes dream of, and they're never going to get close. And here's someone who has it, and in an instant, it's gone. A life's gone. A dog's gone. Truly tragic. I wanted to cover it. I knew it'd be hard, but it's new. It's relevant. I'm a big NFL fan. This comes up all the time. And I was like, you know what? We do a show on crime. Let's cover it, understand more of it, honor Tina Tintor as well. And, you know, just do what we do, Sal.
And honor Max, because I know you're a big dog lover.
Of course. Yes. Yeah. Of course. They're together. Yes, absolutely. The dog thing kills me in its own right. Any dog that's even mistreated, let alone killed way before their time when they shouldn't have been, it tears me up inside. So before examining the crime in more detail, I want to share some background on Ruggs and just how elite this 22 years old, Sal. I mean, Tina was 23. He's only 22. This is insane. But how one terrible decision has real everlasting consequences.
Oh, yeah.
So the early years, Ruggs grew up in Montgomery, Alabama, and did not play high school football until his junior year, and received his first scholarship offer after just his second game. So that's just how special he is or was.
Wow. Yeah.
As a senior, he scored 20 touchdowns, and he also played basketball and ran track. In fact, his 100-meter dash time of 10.58 seconds was a state record. Wow. Ruggs received scholarship offers from more than 20 colleges to play football. And of course, he chose the University of Alabama. Now, just so you know, Sal,
yeah,
they have been a powerhouse, the most elite program over the last, let's call it 15 years since Saban went there. So yeah, to go there is like, oh my gosh, you're a next level player and you're probably going to go to the NFL. That's what happens.
Wow.
So in college, as a true freshman at Alabama in 2017, Ruggs had 12 receptions for 229 yards and 6 touchdowns as the Alabama Crimson Tide won the national championship. Now, over the next 2 seasons, Ruggs would amass 86 receptions for 1,487 yards and 18 touchdowns. His career total of 24 touchdowns placed him 3rd on Alabama's all-time leaderboard. On January 6, 2020, Ruggs announced that he would forego his senior year and enter the 2020 NFL draft. So he's so elite, Sal, that he's coming out early. And a lot of players do it, but not everyone can pull it off. Some need to stay another year, get some more stats, build up their body. But, he probably had an agent in his ear. And when you have that window, you just take it because you could get injured and, blah, blah, blah. But so he's entered the NFL draft a year early. And on a personal story, this is kind of interesting. Ruggs credits his friend Roderick Scott with encouraging him to play football in high school because, again, he didn't play till his junior year. Well, unfortunately, Scott died in a car crash at 17 years of age, and Ruggs honors him with a 3-finger salute after every touchdown because Scott wore number 3 on the basketball court.
That's like a movie of the week in and of itself, I think.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So then on May 7th, 2020, Ruggs's daughter, Kinsley Renee, was born to his long-term girlfriend, Kiara Kilgo Washington. So he's a new father. And this is recent. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Everything's going great.
Everything's going great. Everything's going. In fact, his girlfriend's in the car with him, but we're about to get into that.
Wow.
So now comes the fateful night, the fatal car crash, again on November 2nd, 2021, hours before the incident. Ruggs and his girlfriend, who I just mentioned, Kiara Kilgo Washington, they were seen drinking at a Topgolf location in Las Vegas. Now, Sal, I don't know if you're familiar. They have these places all over. They look really neat. There's a driving range. There's a bar. It's really cool, high end. I don't know if you've ever heard of Topgolf.
Oh, so it's not like a golf and stuff. It's not like a family putt-putt golf place.
No, it's a little more high end, a little more adults drinking. Yeah. So they were doing that probably at the driving range, just having a good old time. Right.
Wow. Yeah. It sounds neat.
So apparently they left sometime after midnight in his Chevrolet Corvette Stingray. Now, police said that around 3:39 a.m., Ruggs was driving. So this number I had to verify a few times as well as watch videos. But he was driving the Stingray 156 miles per hour.
Oh my gosh.
156. There's security footage, which I know I sent you today, of TMZ showing just a few seconds. You see actually Tina's car, which is a Toyota RAV4, go by. And then a few seconds later, you see a car going, 10 times faster.
Yeah.
And it's a blur. And then you don't see the impact, but you just see them passing by. And just that alone, you can see that they're both in the same lane. So that's the only footage we see pre-wreck. I mean, what did you think of just what we watched?
Well, Jason, I want to ask you, what's the fastest you've ever driven?
Nowhere near 156.
I've gone over 100 a couple of times.
Yeah, just 100,
just to say I did, I guess,
It starts daytime. To get, it's scary. And you got to be in the right car.
Once you start hitting that 100-mile-an-hour point, it's you better look out.
It was daytime, not a soul around, road trip. I could see for miles. No one. So I was I'm going to press it right here. And then I'm going to throttle back. And I usually drive right at the speed limit, 5 under, if just a few over. I do not push it too far on road trips or anything. And nor do I have a car that can even handle that capacity. I'm always in an SUV.
Yeah. So, any car I've been in would top out about 110.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm shocked that cars can go that fast, that we sell them to people. I mean, that's a whole other, I don't understand that. There's no need for it.
Yeah. Well, there's
So,
always the idea of what if you had to run for your life, I guess.
yeah.
I mean, I think maybe we've seen Road Warrior or Mad Max too much. Like, why would you have to? What's the fastest you've ever needed to go? 90. That's about it, because maybe the truck's on your ass. Maybe, you know what I mean?
Maybe.
But yeah, there's no need to probably go anything above 100. Probably not necessary.
No. Well, when you're watching that footage, any thoughts, any takeaways? I mean, it's very fast. I don't know if you.
Well, one thing you notice right away is that the streets are empty. You just see the two cars, right?
It's 3:30 a.m.
There's this image been floating around the internet for a while of this post, maybe like a telephone post in the middle of the desert, like in the middle of nowhere, the only post around for miles, and a car comes and crashes into it.
Wow.
So this reminds me of that. I mean, she was the only thing around.
Yeah. And what could the speed limit be? It wasn't a highway. Maybe it's 40, right? You got to figure she's probably
45 at the most.
45.
Yep.
And just quickly about her before we get into the impact, we don't know a lot about Tina Tintor or Max, but we do know that she was a 2016 graduate of Durango High School, and she was actually driving home after taking her dog Max on a late night walk with her best friend and was just 2 miles away from her home.
Terrible.
So while that's going on and she's headed home, Ruggs is behind her in that video you can see. So he's going 156 as he sees her, probably just for a half second, right? He just sees her, attempts to brake as he approaches her Toyota RAV4 and hits her as he's going 120 miles an hour. So he was able to stop a little bit. I mean, Sal, this is, come on. It's such an impact.
Yeah.
Upon impact, Tintor and her dog Max initially survived, right? And what's shocking to me is Ruggs and his girlfriend, because she's in the car as well, they're okay. Minor injuries, but they hit their car. They're okay as well. But then the car, the RAV4, is engulfed in flames. And they burn to death.
Oh my gosh.
And there's footage that you've also seen, and just a glimpse. It's like a camera phone far away. You just see it engulfed, and there's cops around, and someone's running around. I don't know who that is, if it's Ruggs or his girlfriend or a passerby, and you can't do anything. I mean, there's the RAV4 in flames. I mean, it's just, hopefully they died quickly.
Hang on, Jason. Hang on. Let me.
Yeah.
This took me a second to wrap my head around. They didn't die from the accident. They died from the fire.
Not the impact, from the fire.
So they did,
from what I've read,
burn to death.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
That's
so horrible. Yeah. I mean, you can't tell from the video. The video, you see flames. You see in the video that something is on fire.
Right.
You can't really tell.
No.
But what you are seeing then is essentially you're seeing them burn alive. That's terrible.
Well, and how helpless the police are. What are they going to do? And they're not the fire department, and even that much flames, that heat.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, that's just what I read. They could have been an impact. They could have been, I'm sure they were injured. They were hit from behind. Again, I am shocked that Ruggs and that Stingray didn't also go up in flames. I mean, remember what happened to from Fast and the Furious,
Paul Walker,
gets in a car. They're doing some sort of event. The driver wasn't him, loses control. They hit a tree and, goes up in flames. Boom, done. Kills him and his friend immediately. So I'm just shocked that anybody walked away from this accident. And we did also learn, Sal, and trying to find out more information about Tina and Max, that there was a GoFundMe.
Yes. Yeah.
And you just went there, and why don't you tell everybody what you came across?
Well, to be clear, Jason, there was a GoFundMe.
Right.
What happened is the family appears to maybe have reached their goal or reached a goal.
Yeah.
They have raised over $103,000.
Wow.
And then there's a little share, and I was looking into the share option, but no, it says the organizer has currently disabled new donations to this fundraiser. Let me just read the last paragraph here on the GoFundMe, because there is indeed a page, and the page is titled Support for Tina Tintor and Max. And there's a sweet picture of Tina and Max there sitting on the grass. Very sweet. They say, our family is incredibly grateful for the support on behalf of Tina and Max. It is our hope that their lives can be honored in ways Tina would have loved. We have decided to close this GoFundMe to new donations, but if you would like to support animals in our community, we encourage you to visit Hearts Alive Village and donate in Tina and Max's names.
Oh.
And then there is indeed a link there to Hearts Alive Village Memorial Fund. So you can go to the GoFundMe, and then that'll link you over to the Hearts Alive Village, or maybe just go to heartsalivevillage.org and search Tina and Max.
Wow. Well, that's really special. I'm glad they hit their goal. I love what they had to say. I'm also just touched that they churned it off, because obviously more money would have come in, right?
Sure.
This
Yeah.
is getting much publicity.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with GoFundMe. Could they just keep going and going and going with the donations?
But that wasn't their goal. Maybe they needed to do something. They're probably going to donate it for other things, or they had some expenses to cover, but really sweet and touching. I have seen lots of photos of Tina and Max and Sal. I'm telling you that it's hard to look at and not get sad. So back to the accident. Ruggs and his girlfriend were transported to the University Medical Center of Southern Nevada with non-life-threatening injuries.
Wow.
Police said that Ruggs's blood alcohol content was measured at 0.161%, more than twice the legal limit in Nevada. Now, so I don't know a lot about blood alcohol content and limits and such. I don't even know if that's equivalent to California, or Nevada is far different, but do you know much about it?
Well, for years, the California level was 0.08 or something like that.
Okay.
It was the 0.0 something. So this would be, I think, twice that.
Yeah. So maybe it's similar.
But what they did do recently, and I think we recently were notified from the California DMV, they actually lowered that.
Did they?
Yeah, it would be officially a lowering, right? It wouldn't be a raising. They lowered the blood alcohol level. So in other words, you can have less alcohol now and be officially over the legal limit now at this point. So everybody with an earshot, make sure that you stay within the legal limit of consumption, alcohol consumption before driving. But Jason, all of us have seen many incidences of the drunk person surviving.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does it say that they had any injuries at all?
No, I just know when I see photos of Ruggs now in court, he's got a neck brace on. So I don't know the severity, or his girlfriend. I mean, often, Sal, many times I've seen and read or heard about, the passenger dies.
Oh,
and it's usually a one-car accident, right? Wow. They've been drinking. This is other pro athletes. This has happened.
Wow. And
just people in general. The driver survives, and then there's that death trap seat, right? The passenger seat, and they die. And then there's that guilt. And this, though, they both survive. I've seen the car, it's kind of crushed in. It's a low car. It's a Stingray. It kind of went underneath the RAV4. RAV4 was a little higher and probably just got wedged in and got burned, but they were able to get out of the car. So, and also it wasn't a head on. Right. They just went into, and I don't know what caused the RAV4 to then, burn up, which it's not like a Ford Pinto. I don't know why that would have happened, but they just probably got wedged in underneath. But
well, they totally did get lucky, because I'm having flashbacks of the Jane Russell accident.
Yeah.
You know about that one, where they went beneath the truck in front of them.
Yeah.
And that was horrific. So you guys, anybody listening, can check out, do some research on the Jane Mansfield death. It's pretty gruesome.
Yeah. So Ruggs was then booked into the Clark County Detention Center and later charged with 2 felony counts of driving under the influence, 2 felony counts of reckless driving, and a misdemeanor gun charge.
Oh.
4 felonies, 1 misdemeanor, Sal. Yeah, the gun charge, I'm sure they found a gun in the car. So now each DUI count is punishable by 2 to 20 years in prison and a fine of $2,000 to $5,000. Each reckless driving count carries a penalty of 1 to 6 years in prison and a fine in the same amount. If Ruggs is convicted of the DUI charges, he must be sentenced to prison. He cannot receive probation. Ruggs was also charged with possessing a gun while under the influence of drugs or alcohol, a misdemeanor punishment in Nevada by a maximum of 6 months in prison or up to $1,000 in fines, or both. So nothing's happened yet. He's waiting
Yes.
for sentencing, but Sal, it doesn't look good for Ruggs. He's definitely going to be doing some time.
Well, I think that this episode will necessitate a follow-up
Oh,
because right
Yes.
now, now here we are. I'm thinking, we don't have resolution yet.
No.
It's a little bit early. So I definitely would like to revisit this again. I would like to do a follow-up on this. Because it's one thing when there's a crime or a tragedy, then you have the court case, then you have the outcome, the sentencing, and then the ultimate punishment. That's when it's concluded, if you will.
Yeah.
So I want to see how this plays out.
I agree. And I know this type of episode, Sal, it's real somber. It's hard to get up about much of anything because we just knew going in. And it's also, it's good for us to flex different muscles. Sure, we love doing a lighter misdemeanor. It's a lot more fun and jubilee. Sure. And this is the whole thing is just like there's this cloud over this episode because it is tragic. I mean, here's a guy who got something most don't achieve, and he's probably a good person. In fact, on that note, why don't you read a couple of responses? There were several from current NFL players to previous coaches, but I pulled a couple out here, and they're not just celebrating Ruggs, but it's just showing that it's like a character, they know him very well. And also these two people are well known, one being Raiders quarterback Derek Carr.
Yeah. He says, if no one else will do it, I'll do it.
Meaning,
he said, he said Ruggs needs to be loved, and that if no one else will do it, I'll do it.
Yeah, they were pretty tight. In fact, I remember hearing or reading something where they were texting that night.
Oh, wow.
He was at Top Golf, like, this is a quarterback and his receiver.
Wow.
Right. And they usually do have that, that chemistry. They're always talking about stuff. And I know Brady does this with his guys. And so, they were, I think that evening there was like text like, hey, let's play some golf in the off season because they're at the Top Golf. And so I'm sure, putting aside Tina, Max, and her family who are grieving, and it's, I'm sure it's just terrible. And what's happened to Ruggs and his family and how they're grieving for everything. But think about the players. Here's the Raiders team, Derek Carr, the quarterback. Let's go back one step further. Their coach was fired a few months ago. Well, he had some questionable emails that came out that were leaked, and he kind of blasted some people. He was a bit of a racist.
Oh, yes.
It was a poorly laid out. All of a sudden he was kind of blasted with like these leaked emails, but the Raiders could do nothing but fire him. And rightfully so. That's a horrible thing. So the team's like, wow, there goes our coach. And they try to move on with this interim coach. And now they lose one of their star receivers. And I'm just saying, in context, it means nothing. But at the same time, just for right now, my heart kind of goes out for anybody who was a friend of Ruggs is just like devastated from a team.
There's a ripple
level
effect. There's
totally.
What is it? The butterfly effect. Yeah. There it is right before our eyes. The butterfly effect. You get to see how your actions have consequences that carry on.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not like, oh man, this guy, there's just, everyone's grieving. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this happened. It was that, you're drunk, you're inebriated, you're 22 years old, you're on top of the world, you're in a car that goes entirely too fast, and you just want to, you're having a moment, but your moment has consequences. 100, like you said, you and I get around 100, it's like, something just, he pushed it too far. And it's tragic. But so here's what Nick Saban, the legendary Alabama coach, who I think has 7 titles now, if I'm not mistaken, here's what he had to say.
He said, we're going to support him through it, but we also have a lot of compassion for the victims, and our thoughts and prayers are also with them.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
and people are lining up.
It's a nice sentiment because, you can acknowledge that Ruggs made a mistake. He made a critical error big time, right? And he's having to face the consequences. But it's not about slandering his character.
No.
Right? He made a mistake. He will have to suffer the consequence. But it doesn't necessarily mean he's a horrible person, as you said. He made an error, a grave error.
And I don't know how long he'll go into jail for, or prison. And we'll do a follow-up of some sort. If he goes away for 10, 20 years, I don't know, right? He's 22, but his NFL career is most likely over. Hopefully he can move on and become an even better person. But honestly, Sal, I want other athletes and anybody who has the means and is in these types of situations at a young age, maybe not with the best crew around you sometimes. I don't know. I mean, these are instant millionaires coming from all over the place, and they probably don't have the support team around them. I hope this can serve as a cautionary tale. Like I said in the beginning, don't do this. This is not the right path. I also think if you're out at 3:30, in the morning on a weeknight, coaches always say good things don't happen.
Yes.
Really?
I would agree with that.
And I know myself, I was young once, and being out late, it was the same as being out at 9:00. I get it, but constantly weeknight, not a good thing, not a good sign. And I just, it's unfortunate, Sal. I don't know what else to say. That really covers all I got. That's all there is to it right now. There's no new information. I don't know what happened to his girlfriend. I don't know if they're still, a couple. They have this young baby. I mean, here's a child who might not know their father unless he's behind bars for so long. Yep. I mean, it's just, the ripple effect continues. And at some point in time, hopefully there'll be closure, and Henry Ruggs III will, grow as a person, and his career path will go a different direction. But who knows?
And rest in peace, Tina and Max.
Absolutely. I encourage you to check out the GoFundMe to see the photo, and maybe if you're in the giving mood, you could give to the pet foundation that they recommend. And that's all I got. So thank you so much for listening, and please be sure to subscribe to That's a Crime wherever you get your podcast. You can also really help us by giving the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast.
And for all you listeners that enjoy sharing your thoughts, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, send us a direct message, or post a comment on our social media, which is at Just Curious Media.
We also highly recommend checking out our other podcast and visiting justcuriousmedia.com.